Yo, yo, yo. Are we all ready to go this St. Paddy's Day? Big shout out to everyone out there. Somebody in the chat room asking what's happening tonight. We don't live stream on a Sunday. We live beard. Yes, that's right. Popeye is in the house. How you all doing, boys? We ready for another weekend live beard? How's it going, man?
Live bearding.
Live bearding.
Forget Tom Bearden. We have got live bearding. How you doing, man?
Everyone's just jealous of this thing. Look at this. I could do beard ads with this. Look. And it's all natural. I don't put any like beard crap in it. Nothing. It's literally all natural. I just let it be.
Let it be a home and a habitat to many little beasties.
Yes, I'm like Cinderella, but the male version. Or Snow. Which was the one? Cinderella or Snow White that she'd walk through the woods and all the birds and things would come to her. Right? That's like me, but they all flock to my beard. And they hide in it for the winter when it's really cold. And then comes springtime, it's like Noah's Ark. Noah's beard. Didn't Noah have a beard, Joe?
Oh, my.
Joa?
So, before we get started, right, we've got some mods in the chat room. I was getting panicky there. I thought Uni might be on at the same time. Myself and Unirock, we're going to coordinate and schedule this week so that we don't collide and clash because we've got a similar audience and Kristen,
it's hard not to clash with Uni when he's doing 8-hour
streams last night, man. I was glued to it. I said to Kristen, I'm on my way to bed. I can't take any more of this. And then there was like another 4 hours of drama. I love drama, dude. But before we get started, many ways to support the stream. A new way. We use Streamlabs OBS on here. And if you look in the description below, if you fancy streaming, even if you don't, you can help out the show by downloading OBS for free from the link below. They've given me an affiliate link where you can download that from now. They must like the stream. You can also support us on PayPal. And of course, with it being that time of the month before Google payout, it would be muchly appreciated. Only if you can, though. You can become a member of the channel. You get the cool emojis. I think Popeye's beard might be the next emoji that we unlock.
That's very nice.
So if we get 3 more members tonight, I'm going to make a Popeye's beard emoji. So, I mean, there's an excuse to sign up if nothing else. But no, only support the stream if you can. We're going to be here every weekend anyway, probably more than every weekend. Who knows what the future holds. But Popeye, we were having a very good conversation today, and it kind of dictated the name of the stream. And that is The Matrix is all around us. It is everywhere. And of course, that comes from your favourite trilogy of movies, Popeye. And it's very apt for the times that we're living, right? And Popeye is muted up. The beard.
Yeah.
Go beard. Unmute.
There you go.
There he is, man.
Yeah. It's okay. I had it muted on Skype, that's why. So, many times in the past, I don't know, 10 years or so now, I've said on air, in videos, I've used as I don't want to say a meme, but an allegory, because that's actually what those 3 movies are, the Matrix movies, the trilogy, right? I've used pieces of it to kind of get people to pay attention, to wake up, as Morpheus said, right? And over the years, I keep pointing to the same thing. And I know some people might be tired of hearing, the Matrix again or whatever. But it's very, very important to go over some of the basics again, because I think a lot of this is missed. And there's a whole new generation of people that are waking up and realizing that the world isn't exactly as they thought it was. And they don't know about a lot of the basics and a lot of the more thought-provoking aspects of things. And if it's presented to them by the wrong individuals, and maybe perhaps in the wrong way, it'll sound crazy like some of this other stuff, which I know Joe wants to get into later. And it'll destroy the true power of the allegory that is the Matrix movies. So I just want to take a few minutes to point something out. Now, Kev and I were having a very in-depth conversation today while I was driving. And it came up that the world, everything that we know in the past 4 years, 5 years, right, has gone crazy. I mean, out of control crazy, right? Everything's kind of nuts. If you look at it, if you just look at the way everybody's fractured and divided, and we can't have a conversation. We can't have a logical, meaningful conversation with one another without getting into fights, without arguing, without yelling, without screaming, without logic going out the window, right? There is none of that. So now you have a reality TV show president who, I've said before, I think the whole election thing, and we can get into that later, that as a side issue, that was all staged. That whole thing, Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump, she wasn't meant to win. Trump was. And the idea that he beat her and he pulled off this miracle win for the conservatives and, for the truth, and we're going to drain the swamp and right all the wrongs. Well, none of that's happened, right? A lot of political infighting, a lot of division, and he seems to be the focal point of it. Well, because that's his character to play. Hillary Clinton was never going to be the president. She was literally too sick. She was falling down, and that's the one thing. That's the big red flag.
Did you just say Falling Down?
Yes.
And that's like one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yes,
dude.
I love that. It's a good film. And a great movie. And she couldn't even hold herself up. So that whole thing is staged, and I can get into, there's a whole, side theory I have about that and, all that. But my point that I want to focus on tonight, at least right now, this minute, is that what you see going on, everybody was thinking 5-6 years ago. People were thinking outside the box. Their brains were expanding in all directions. Like my T-shirt, says it's got the shadowy Uncle Sam figure, right? And it's got the left and right puppet. Well, people were getting out of that paradigm. They were getting out of this false left-right paradigm, this lie, this puppet show. And that can't happen. Because if you see, A or B can be controlled, but you have 15 different directions that thought's going in. They can't stop that. And that's a problem. So how do they stop that? They corrupt it. How do they corrupt it? Well, as you've seen, it takes some time, or at least in what we have as the concept of time, it takes a decent amount of that in order to slowly socially engineer people to think the way that they want us to think. But if you're a computer program running a simulation, everything is happening before, presently, and in the future all at the same time. It's like if it was stored on a USB memory drive, like a video, right? You can open a video on a USB memory drive and you could fast forward through it, go to all different spots in it, right? Mm-hmm. But it's existing at one point in time, in the now, in your hand, in that USB thumb drive, but yet you can go back into time or forward into time. So that aside, what they're doing, what's going on, Kev, remember the conversation in the second Matrix movie with the architect and Neo? And he said they kept correcting for anomalies. They're correcting for the anomaly, which was what the alternative media used to be. Or I don't even want to say the alternative media, what humanity was on the verge of becoming, where we were starting to go and think. And all of that got changed. And now it's orange man good, orange man bad. And that's it. And everything else that happens in the world is linked to that little lie, that false ideology of left or right, that simple choice of A versus B. Orange man good, orange man bad. It's the matrix, the architect, whatever, that we do live in a matrix, and we can get into how that's created, right? Quantum physics, real quick. Quantum physics dictates, double slit experiment. You observe where the particle's going to be, particle's there. So we do generate reality. So if the people that socially engineer us understand how to control us and manipulate us as these generators of reality, then they do it on such a grand scale, and we create the matrix. We help actually feed it and create it. That's what the allegory was of the bodies, the physical bodies inside the tube with all the stuff attached to them in the goo. And they were living in this dream world, but in the real world, they were like the battery, they were the energy, the transmitter. our DNA helix is an antenna. It's a sending and receiving antenna. It's spherical, and it's a vertical up and down antenna. So it's sending and receiving signals all throughout our bodies. The Matrix is real, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe not like we saw in the movies, right? That'd be cool if we can download skills like that. Like, man, I want to be a helicopter pilot. Boof, right?
That's coming. That's coming, Popeye. You know it. You know that kind of thing is coming. At least with virtual reality. Maybe not like packets of information where we're literally going and doing these things, but they could maybe eventually do that.
Well, yes. And
did you see that guy that he basically lived in virtual reality for an entire week?
I sent you that. That was weird. And for anyone out there, it's a video on YouTube. He lived, he slept, he ate, he pissed, and he shat with virtual reality goggles on for a full week. And it was quite surprising how easily, Scott, that he integrated into that world. And he said it didn't really have too much of an effect on him, but you could go and hang out in virtual chat rooms, virtual like nightclubs. You could do this, you could do that. And I was quite shocked that he actually managed the week.
Yeah, he said it was actually pretty crazy how immersed he got into it. You know, like it didn't have this adverse effect that he thought it was going to have. And he kind of got into it pretty easily. It was pretty crazy. I don't know. I'll try to find the link or something.
That's like a fractal.
I'm going to bring it up right now. Yeah, I'm going to bring it up for people and like see a little bit of it. I'm not sure how it's going to be for like copyright wise, but that's the video there.
You can just pause the audio or something.
Yeah, I'll pause the audio. I'll play a little bit of it. I'll skip bits, but you'll get the idea.
That whole concept is like a fractal pattern if you think about it. I mean, think about that for a second. It's, it's like Inception. It's like, creating an artificial reality inside of an artificial reality.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
that's what scientists say. Well, they say that the more that we're able to actually create a simulation, the more likely it is that we ourselves are inside of a simulation. Just because of the fact that we're proving that we can create a simulation ourselves, the more that we're able to do that, because, now we got supercomputers, quantum computers, we're getting to the point where we can start simulating some crazy stuff. And, they're going to eventually try to do an experiment where they're like, okay, we're going to try to simulate the entire universe in this quantum computer. And do they even really know what that will do?
Scott, they've done that in a computer game recently, No Man's Sky. Remember that came out? Now, admittedly, it was very glitchy, but what they tried to do was create an entire universe where you could go to any of the planets. There was all set biology, set physics for all of these places. And that's the point, isn't it? If we can build a simulation that is indistinguishable from reality, how the hell do we know we're not in one?
Exactly. That's when it opens up that whole question, because you just don't know. And then that simulation we created, would there be something inside that manages to figure out how to create a simulation?
Almost
what I mean?
Almost like a funhouse mirror.
Yeah, it's like Russian dolls. Where does it stop?
Well, right, but so how do we know that? How do we know that it's not? It's not the system correcting itself. Again, what did the architect say in the movie? He said there were I think 5 or 6 other times that the system had to correct itself because of anomalies. The anomaly was, so the idea of Neo as an anomaly, right, is he basically, he could see through the code. He could see through things. He could see the Matrix for what it was, and he was then able to help wake up more people, right? Well, Neo is really in each and every one of us. Everybody that wakes up and takes into account and puts into action, so to speak, thought, emotion, and action, okay? Those 3 are the real pyramid, right? That's the Holy Trinity, so to speak. I've done Kev, I did a show on your channel with you on your radio show years ago about this. And I've talked to others. Mark Passio and I did a show about this together. I had Mark Passio on years ago, and he went over this and broke down the Matrix. It's thought, emotion, and action. And you by doing that, like by doing your show, that's thought, emotion, and action. You understand there's a problem. You figure out a way to do something about it, and you get upset about it. You realize it's bad overall, and you do something about it. Action, and you go out and you actually do something. That's what Morpheus and Trinity represented, and Neo. They were like the Holy Trinity, right? And then it's very deep, and we could get sidetracked on it. I actually urge people, I do have it up on the YouTube channel, unless it's been muted. If it's been muted, just go to popeyeradio.com, and you can download it for free. Just look up if you do like a search of the.
Where's
the
Joe
page,
gone?
just type Matrix and
where
it'll
is
bring up
Joe
shows.
gone? Where is Joe gone? He's messed up all the cameras.
What did he do? He broke everything, Kev?
He did. Here he is. He's coming back now. There he is.
Lordy.
There he is. Now we've all swapped cameras.
Wow.
So we're all back together
that's
again, yeah?
Interesting.
Joe, you can't come off camera. You mess up the whole thing, dude. I could see up Popeye's nostril there, man.
That's crazy.
It's hilarious.
So what was the
Extreme
emergency,
close-up
Joe? Are you
from
going to share with us the emergency? What was happening, dude? Come on, man. What was
See, what it was the NSA is listening in, you see, and there's been some truth, so now they're messing with us.
Oh, so basically,
Ooh, good
Joe had like a power outage or hit the wrong button on Skype.
No, actually, it just glitched. I don't know.
No, it happens, man.
Lost internet first.
Okay, we're gonna have a super chat coming on in a little second, just to be aware from Bison. Bison, you're now a wrench holder, so you're one of the mods in the chat room. Good team of mods here. It's going to read it out in just a second, I believe. I don't want anyone to get cut off before we get back into this Matrix talk, because really like this Matrix stuff. And I've said for some time, Scott, haven't I? Said it to you often enough. I really do believe we're in the Matrix.
Can you get deep into Gloucester Hire's ancient Brahmin? It has ley lines to Stonehenge, and does Scott know how much he sounds like Ross from Friends?
He looks like a really stoned Ross from Friends today. I don't know about anything else.
Wow.
Oh,
Come on, Schwimmer. Come on, David Schwimmer. Give it to us, man.
Poor Scott.
I never liked Friends, so
You didn't like Friends, dude?
no.
Can't beat a bit of Joey, man.
I always knew it as the show where you had to change it after Seinfeld came on.
It was like your cue to change channel. Brilliant.
It's like your cue to change the channel. It's like, okay, it's over.
That's so funny.
Right, I'm going to take a note of that anyway, Bison, because I've never heard of the Gloucestershire's Ancient Ram Inn. It sounds like somewhere that could be uber haunted. It's probably on one of these ghost hunting shows that I've watched before, but I'll take a note of that, and I'll certainly get into it. If not tonight, then next week on the live stream, I will address that, definitely. But guys, Popeye, the error correction. The error correction has seen the man that taught me to forget about the left-right paradigm because it was two cheeks of the same asshole turning into somebody who jumped on the left-hand cheek of the asshole, and everyone else is bad guys now.
Yes.
I'm confused. I am utterly confused. I've said it to the guys before. What the hell is that all about? And the error correction sounds about right.
It's the Matrix correcting itself. I know people are going to be like, this guy's crazy. It's the beard. No, seriously. First, the beard's like an antenna. I explained that last week. The Native Americans leave their hair long for a reason. They found out when they were shaving their heads for the military back in World War II, they lost their ability as good scouts and to be able to literally detect the enemy. So they stopped it.
Ambient energy in the air.
Yeah, and so they stopped making them shave their heads, and because they stopped making them shave their heads and they allowed them to keep their hair long, they were able to pick up enemies coming in before anybody noticed, even the perimeter guards. These guys would wake up. They were able to repel attacks. So it's like an antenna. So yes, my beard kind of, draws in the Matrix, I guess, so to speak. The power.
Well,
the
Joe,
positive power.
Joe, what do you make of all this then, right? Because you've listened to what Popeye said here. We've discussed it ourselves. We've been about the block a while. We couldn't work out why the hell people were jumping back into politics and thinking it was the answer to our political problem. You can't solve a problem with the same level of thinking that creates it, Joe.
Well, because I think people are just so desperate. They're so desperate to have their standard of living and their quality of life restored, at least here in the United States. It's been absolutely decimated. You know, in 1955, I use that for Back to the Future purposes, but in 1955, if you adjust, well, first of all, a Walmart cashier, right, back in 2015, and it's only gotten worse, made an average of $8.80 an hour, right? Now, you take that same job, 1955, you adjust it for inflation, and that cashier's making the equivalent of $38 an hour in 1955 because the dollar was worth so much more in 55 than it was now. It's just our purchasing power has been totally eroded. And so when you take a look at things like, epidemics and crises, especially when it comes to, the drug epidemic, the opioids, oh God. And now over in the UK, what do they say? It's the benzo epidemic, right?
Valium. We're all Valiumed up, man.
Valium, right? Oh God. Oh no. So people are laid back. First of all, you can't OD on Valium. So who gives a crap, right? It's almost like pot. It's a moot point. But people are taking this stuff. Why? Because in some way, shape, or form, they're not happy with their lives. Whatever reason it is, they're just not happy with it. So they're drowned in their sorrows with whatever works. And what we need to do is change that focus. The focus is these assholes at the top have all the resources, have totally and completely taken everything. There's not much left. And they distract us with all this bullshit that goes on. And then they put one of their own in the fucking White House. And people wonder, I wonder why things are so fucked up. Well, you asked for a reality TV show personality, and that's what you got.
Orange
you got him
man
in White
bad.
House. Not to
Orange
mention,
man bad.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that he's a billionaire to boot. What did you expect? Everybody's like 1 in 5, they say, for this God-saving tax cut that he did, right? Yes. It's the savior. It's going to save everybody. Yeah, 1 in 5 people who filed a tax return actually saw an increase. Most got screwed. Meanwhile, that corporate tax rate, 35 to 21%. Yeah. How many people felt any relief from that? I haven't seen prices go down at the stores. That shit doesn't work, right? And not to say that we should be charging anybody. I say you get rid of all that shit. You put more money in people's pockets.
Taxation is theft.
The economy going,
Taxation is theft.
Taxation is theft. But
So
not
there's
only
that.
that. But not only that. What was it? The Mouse Amusement Park experiment back in the 70s that they ran when they were really doing a deep study into addiction. They did Mouse Park, right? So you had 2 cages. One cage had a mixture of cocaine and water. The other cage just and you had two bottles. One had cocaine and water and regular water. And then they had another cage that had just water. And the rats in the cage with cocaine. Now, nothing else was in the cage. They went to the cocaine each time, right? Meanwhile, the ones in the water cage, well, they didn't really get much of anything. Now, you add all of these things, like you make it like Mouse Disney World in a cage. You add like wheels and mazes, and you even put a maid in there, right? None of the mice went for the cocaine water at that point. Why? Because they were sated. They were satisfied. They didn't have this big hole that they were trying to fill. And wouldn't you know it, there was no addiction. It just went away. See, people aren't looking to get smashed and inebriated and all this kind of stuff for no reason at all, just because it's the cool thing to do. That's not what they do. They do it because there's a fucking hole, and they're trying to fill that void with whatever they can to make the pain go away. Now, you go ahead and make their life tolerable again, and all that goes away. In the meantime, the hell's so wrong about getting high? Why? What's bad about people getting happy?
Well, but before we get too veered off the matrix, I will say this, because this needs to be brought up. Like, why is it such a problem when people are like, like a state passes medical marijuana? like Florida, for instance. We passed it, and they just had to. The new governor had to threaten the current legislators in the state to like get their act together and take this ban that they had put together and that the former governor, Rick Scott, who's now a senator, had signed into law that didn't allow you to smoke cannabis. Now, we passed for medical use. It's not a very, broad, open, it's a very well-worded, sensible law, I think, for people to be able to use cannabis for medical reasons. And the state, their reaction, because we had tried for years to get the legislators down here to pass something, and they wouldn't. They kept dragging their feet, making excuses, whatever, fighting, saying no. It's our way, not your way. It's bad, okay. Drugs are bad, okay. And it ended up, it needed to become a constitutional amendment on the ballot in order for us to get it. And they were angry about that. So they dragged their feet, and then eventually they passed a law that said you can only vape it. You couldn't do anything else. You couldn't smoke it. You could have no flour. You weren't allowed to cook with it. I think there might have been like one form of edibles you could have, and I think they were gummies. I could be wrong, but I know you weren't allowed to smoke flour. Period. End of story. Only vaping. Wait, here's the reason, Joe. Here's the reason. Because people only smoke the flour to get high. If you need it for medical purposes, you can vape. Let me explain something, in case people don't understand how it works. If you ingest the THC, it doesn't matter if you're smoking it or vaping it, you're going to get that euphoric effect. Now, vaping is much cleaner. There's no plant material. And it's actually easier to imbibe the cannabis into your system.
I'll say.
Even in public.
Would you not say, though, it's like the whole weed thing we're talking about, the Matrix, and I've heard that weed is the one thing that they wouldn't use in mind control, stuff like that. Yep. I mean, is that one way to get your head out the Matrix, guys? And is that why we're seeing now Big Pharma going to take over growing this stuff? Because it's not going to be the same weed that we had once before.
No. They'll commercialize it. It'll become legal when they can destroy it, and they can commercialize it and tax the living crap out of it and make money off of it. Because that's how it became legal here. We knew it was going to pass the second time. The first time it missed by like that much. And it was because they kept putting out ads being like, if your kid goes and gets weed, the next thing he's going to be on is heroin. I mean, they were just like ridiculous scare tactic ads. It was basically like, Reefer Madness, but 2014.
Remember that? From you, all right? I learned it from watching you.
Oh, dude, I love that commercial. For those of you that don't know, for the younger crowd, for those of us that grew up in the 80s and the 70s, there was came to age in the 80s. There was a commercial in the early 80s. I think it was Dare that actually put it out.
Yeah.
And it was a father walking in on his son. And he finds his son's weed stash, and his son's in his room, and he comes in, and he's like, "Where did you learn how to do this?" And the kid looks at his father and goes, "I learned it by watching you." And something like blah 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 blah.
Just so everyone knows out there, I'm going cold turkey on the weed right now, and I didn't think we were going to end up speaking about weed tonight. So Joe, please take it away. Annoy me some more with all this weed talk.
Poor Kev, I didn't realize you were dry, dude.
I've only been awake for about 4 days, Popeye. I can't sleep without the stuff. It's not a problem, though, Look, just keep the eyes open and I'll be all right.
I guess the point is, Kev, is that where there's a will, there's a way. And there's clear statistics. Take a look at Switzerland and Portugal, who have legalized everything. They've legalized everything. They've seen addiction drop by 50%. Easy. You know how they do it? They took all that money that they're spending for these government agency jackboot assholes to come in and raid doctors' offices and destroy their lives, and patients and destroy their lives. And you know what they're doing? They opened up these places where you can go in, get whatever drug you want, get as much as you want, but you have to do it there. They give you a clean place, private room, do whatever you want, and then you go on your merry way. And what they're coming to find out is people go, they do it, their lives improve, things get better. They also give support like jobs, retraining, things like that. They focus on improving the individual's quality of life. Meanwhile, they have free access to whatever they want. And then what they're coming to find out is, holy crap, as their lives improve, they stop. They stop taking it. And what do you know? All that science that they used back in the 70s and the 80s to figure out what addiction was all about, that they've just basically taken and shoved under the freaking rug, is actually true. It's all true. So, you can go ahead and buy into the jackbooted bullshit that just makes criminals out of people where there should be no criminals. They feed a private prison industrial complex, which rivals the size of China's internment camps. It's the exact same shit. It's just labeled something different. And then you have people wearing red, white, and blue shirts and shit and everything. Oh, yeah, freedom and democracy. Land of the free, baby. Firing off their fucking firearms.
1776, Joe.
Whoa, Popeye. You need to watch your Popeye. Popeye.
Whoa. We live in a free country.
You need to back off your mic a bit, man, because it's like, whoa.
Oh, is it too bad?
And your beard rubs it, and it's like, whoa.
No. Yeah, my beard's radiating too much energy into it. Hold on, I need to fix it. Right?
Definitely.
How's that? Is that better?
It's definitely a bit better, but when you start eating it, the beard interferes, man. There's like a mind of its own going on there, dude.
No, is that better now?
A little bit. Maybe down just a touch. What do you think, Scott? You're my audio engineer, man.
It's Skype. It jacked it. All the settings I had are like.
It's the Matrix. It's the Matrix adjusting, man. It's error correcting for you, dude.
Yeah, it is error correcting.
It is. Look at Joe. Joe's on his high horse. He's ready to rant. Go, Joe.
I am not.
Yes, you are.
Joe, you should be angry.
The brain is tuning in, and if the brain tunes in,
there you go.
Everybody in big trouble.
Better.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah, Skype. Wow, what did Skype do? Just try to save this now. Okay. Sorry about that. Joe, you should be you should be upset. But like seriously, I mean, honestly, the medical system.
Oh, it's total shit. You've been through it now.
Burn it to the ground. Kill it with fire. And start all over again. Seriously.
Yeah.
Just come in, kill that shit with fire, and start from the beginning.
It's total shit. Absolute shit. You better hope and pray, everybody out there, that if you don't have an ailment or don't have a loved one that has an ailment that seriously impacts their quality of life, you better hope it never happens. I always ask the question to all these doctors, what happens when you need help and you can't get it? Then what? What do you do? What do you do?
Then they realize how shitty things is.
Well,
see, Joe, they don't think about that at the time. They don't.
Well, we've got a comment from the chat. This is quite entertaining, if nothing else. I like this. B. Baker, I wonder if you're related to me. I hope so. Says, weed gives men breasts and makes their testicles small. Thanks. I don't need either of those.
I wish that was the case, because as you get older, your testicles end up sagging down to your knees and shit.
I'm packing a
that was the case, it'd be nice.
I think I'm packing a 36C this week. I'm identifying as a big-breasted lady.
That's cool. My balls wouldn't fit in a dump truck, so I guess they could be used to fucking, little shrinkage.
That's
right? Where'd they get that information?
I don't know, but that's like Reefer Madness 2019 style.
Yes, that sounds like a little Reefer Madness.
Would they do get it from the CDC? Seriously, like who? Edward Mendel House or something came in and gave them that info.
QAnon told them, Popeye. QAnon.
God, dude, it's just. Stop it. Like, what causes, what causes problems? The drinking water. How about that? Worry about smoking pot. Worry about this. Worry about that. Don't worry about all the shit that's in the drinking water.
Not to mention the fact, let's just go here, right? Isn't it hypocritical? Isn't it the height of puritanical bullshit that everybody seems to know what's best for everybody else? How about we all just mind our own business and understand that we've all got our own crosses to bear. We've all got skeletons in the closet, and we all don't have a right to fucking judge each other.
But Joe, this is where
that goddamn everything would be great.
This is where the NPCs within the Matrix come into play, because this is part of their role. They need to be the ones pushing you in that direction. They're not going to give you a minute's peace to be you, yourself, and possibly escape the Matrix, dude. That's their role in this, to maintain it, to keep it up.
Amen to that, brother.
Well, here, I'm going to read you a quote. I'll read you a couple of these quotes from Morpheus, just because I urge people to go listen to the shows I did about this, and then go watch the 3 movies. Kev did it. I know he did. Like, I remember we had conversations about it. I know Scott has done it. Joe already lives in the Matrix. Joe's actually Agent Smith, but he retired because he gave up. Remember, Agent Smith tries to beat the system too, so that's Joe. Just kidding, Joe. You know I love you, buddy. But I'm going to read a couple quotes. So with what you just said, what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Like, remember when they're walking, right? And they see the woman in the red dress?
Oh, yeah.
And Neo gets distracted by the woman in the red dress, and he turns around and it's Agent Smith with a gun to his head.
That's right.
So he says, the Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around. What do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters. The very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still part of a system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged, and many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system that they will fight to protect it.
Amen.
That's why when you try to bring truth and information to people, they slay you for it.
That's why when you decide that you don't want to put your hand over your heart or pay homage to a piece of effing cloth, then that's all it is. That's all it is. That everybody around you automatically turns into North Koreans, and they're ready to frickin' just, kick the chair out from underneath you. Why? Because you don't agree with what your government's doing or what that flag represents. And but everybody's brainwashed. Everybody's brainwashed into the system. When you go get USDA stamped on your ass after going through 12 years of indoctrination, that's what ends up happening. And you have to break free from the Matrix. You have to break free from that shit. And if you don't, then you're just as bad as everybody else that does it. It's stupid.
It's like that quote about flags. Flags are bits of colored cloth that governments first used to shrink wrap people's brains, and then as a burial shroud to bury the dead, or as a funeral shroud to bury the dead. Joe, I know you get somewhat conflicted in, because it's like when you've served and you've worn that flag, and it's much bigger than that flag. Nationalism and the belief in that's just another way of sucking people back into the Matrix. And that's why they focus on stuff like that. And they get people arguing about things that are just absolute bullshit. And people need to be paying attention to what's really going on. I mean, there are people now, there are the very people that championed like freedom. You remember, again, that awkward moment you meant to 1776 and you accidentally 1984 instead. The guy in the pickup truck, the meme I constantly refer to, where the dude has a come and take it flag in the back of his truck and then a thin blue line flag. Well, who do you think is going to, quote, come and take it? The UN, or the UN's going to come.
Orange man bad. Orange man's coming.
They federalized the police in the country. So there's your UN troops. And they could bring UN troops in, but everybody's focused on the UN troops. They're not focused on the federalization of the police forces.
That's right.
Yeah, because your local sheriff's department has an MRAP that was repurposed from Iraq,
Because they need that, Scott.
Because they need it.
Yeah. Because, and then they find excuses for it because the things sit, and then they find excuses to use it. They're like, well, we're using it to serve warrants. And then like the warrants for like petty theft. And they're like rolling up with a SWAT team, and they're like, well, that's how we serve warrants because it's dangerous. Then don't be a cop.
It was just like Roger Stone, right? Was there a need to have 24 FBI agents that go storm his freaking house? No.
No, there was not, dude. And they know it. They know it. That's a show of force, and that's them playing. Yeah. They like to do that. It's live training, Joe. You know how that is.
Of course.
They knew that was all going to be on the news.
The fact that the cameras
was going to be running behind them with the cameras, filming it all. It was all for dramatic effect and big headlines and all of that. They knew they didn't need to go in like that. Yeah, it was all for show. It was all for show.
It's all absolute bullshit. Why do they have to do that?
So what's the answer then, Popeye? How do we...
It's a show. It's kabuki theater. All of that is to keep you distracted from what's really going on. The arguing over, oh my God, Roger Stone, did you see what they did? Oh my God. No one's like, hey, how come nobody gives a shit that, we have a police state anymore? How come nobody's questioning what happened on 9/11? What happened to, they shouldn't be flashbanging babies in their cribs. Now people are,
Instead, now people are embracing the police. Oh, yeah, why? Because Trump says so. Get the
Exactly.
Are you kidding me? Just buy into the cult of personality just a little bit more, will you?
Orange man good. See how that works? Works both ways. Orange man bad, orange man good.
Michael, I know.
His brother just came out and questioned that.
Yeah, he tweeted.
That's why I said
he actually tweeted awesome. Obama, and he asked Obama. So is it Michelle or is it Michael? I'm not sure.
You gotta love it when your own brother's doing that shit to you. I mean, come on.
Say that's epic. I mean, even it doesn't matter. I mean, really, whatever. It really, I guess, doesn't matter at this point. But that's just awesome when your own brother's trolling you as the ex-president.
I freaking love it.
All right, and Barack Obama's a douchebag.
Yeah, Malik Obama's Twitter is hilarious. He absolutely just trolls constantly.
Dude, like whatever. Obama's a douchebag. People go, he's the best president. No, he's not the best president. Okay, stop it. The guy, he holds the world record of being the only Nobel Prize winner for peace that has killed thousands of people with drone strikes, including children.
You see, that's why they gave it to him, Popeye.
Accidentally, oops. I mean, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of children. But that's cool because he's Obama and he's hip, right? So
that's why they made sure they gave it to him like 2 minutes after he got into office because they knew the blood would soon be on his hands. And
out of curiosity, Kev, how come we don't have crotch shots of Melania?
I was
whatever happened to the? I miss the crotch shots of Michelle. Come on, let's get some crotch shots of Melania.
There we go. You knew I dug it up, right? You knew I had. Come on, man. As Alex Jones says, either she's walking about with a rack of nickels down her dress, or she has got some pretty hardcore hardware down there.
That's right.
There's a meme where Obama's like somebody superimposed him, and he's like this. He's like smiling with his hand up, and they have him standing below her, and he says something like, "That's not a fuck." What does he say? You got to find the meme.
I don't know
exactly what I'm talking about because you've seen it.
Who's the quarterback and who's the receiver in that relationship? That's what I want to know.
Do we really? I mean, come on. Have they really pulled off the biggest piss take ever? And they had the first, not the first lady, but the first transgender in there.
Could have.
Dude, I mean, we had a.
We know they're obsessed with it, right?
President, right? They pulled that off. Why not?
Joan Rivers said that Michelle was a man, and then Joan Rivers ended up dead not too long afterwards.
The ultimate price. That's right.
Yeah, she was like, that's like the biggest open secret. Everyone knows that. And that.
She just talked about it like everybody knows. Yeah.
She dies, but I'm sure it's a coincidence. It's a coincidence, Scott. And it could be. I mean, honestly, it could be a coincidence for sure. But I just,
still,
just saying.
Dick Richards in the chat room says Barry's a taker.
What was that, Joe?
Dick Richards in the chat room says Barry's a taker.
Well,
I'd have to agree. He definitely looks like the one that's taking it.
Well, how about Larry Sinclair? Remember the testimony of Larry Sinclair?
That's right.
He used to share a town car with Obama when he was a Chicago.
The one that blew him in the car? Yeah, after doing lines.
Did he ever, did Obama ever take him to court for, defamation of character or slander?
No, he can't. It's true. How can he do it?
That's my point.
No, because the guy was smart enough to go. I think he spoke at like the National Press Club. He did like a whole.
Yep.
He came out. It was on C-SPAN. Mm-hmm. So like, if he dies, he's too high profile now. Like if he didn't say anything and it was like on a blog, maybe he dies in a car accident. He dies right then and there. You know, I don't know what he's doing now, but yeah, they kind of blew it off. Oh, that's a conspiracy theory. Please don't stop it.
Just a guy says bathhouse Barry. No shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say Google the Chicago bathhouse murders.
Yeah.
So don't use Google because it's probably censored. Use something that's not whatever. Search engine. Popeye, why do you support Google? It's just really more of a term.
Yeah, you must be part of the Illuminati along with Kevin is trying.
Kevin is one eye. Oh, there's Kev's one eye symbolism, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, Joe, I do have my mark right there. So there you go, Kev. That'll start the conspiracy theories right there. Yes, it says Novus Ordo Seclorum.
Somebody's asking, have we seen the video of Michelle dancing on the Ellen DeGenerate show? I haven't.
I was about to mention that.
Is it bad, Scott?
Looks like a sausage swinging from a meat hook.
Your eyeballs look like sausages swinging from meat hooks right now.
Yeah,
just saying.
It looks like he's interested.
Just saying.
Scott, who's cuter? Just kidding.
Wow. So for anyone just tuning in, you can kind of tell we don't do politics. We're not left. We're not right. All of them get equal abuse on this show. So that's the way we roll on here, right? We don't fall back into it. She
saw the episode. She said her shit was jiggling all over the place. Just so you know.
I heard the giggle.
Just saying.
So is her old nickname of Man Shell still?
Showing.
Just call her Michael. I mean, Obama's called her Michael in speeches before.
What's up, Mike?
You stop pushing.
What up, yo? What's up?
Stop pushing the pee-pee on us, will you?
Call Magic Mike?
Magic Mike.
Jesus.
So who's next to get? Who are we going to bash next, boys? Where do we go next? We've done Trump, Orange Man, bad. Have we really bashed Trump though? I don't think we really have bashed him.
No, he's a reality show. But first of all, he's controlled, right? So he didn't think he was going to fucking win, right? Look at his face after he was like,
"Oh shit!
What?
What the fuck?
What? So they needed to get him in.
I can't go to Mar-a-Lago every fucking weekend. Oh, what did I do? Shit.
Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. Okay? Right? That's where problem, reaction, solution comes from. So look at it the way they do. They needed to get him in. They needed somebody who was a villain. Who is the better villain than Hillary Clinton? That woman is a Bond villain. Right?
It's a proxy in chief.
I mean, you don't have anybody else that's more, let's say, like a lightning rod of anger in the Democratic Party than Hillary Clinton. And I'm not saying this is like her, like, oh, she was in on it. No, why do you think she was so angry? She wasn't in on it. They needed her to think that she was actually going to be the president.
And I mean, by all rights, if you take out the Electoral College, she should be, right? Because she won the popular vote. But
right.
And not by a small amount, Popeye, 2 million votes.
Yeah, well, and the reason why she won the popular vote, right, was because big cities versus, out in the middle of nowhere, middle America, breadbasket. I shouldn't say middle of nowhere because it makes it sound like it's out, like a shack in the woods, but you know what I mean. Middle America versus very uber populated cities.
Absolutely.
Flyover country.
Yes, flyover country. Correct.
No doubt. And I don't dispute that for a moment.
The whole
but
thing
you have shit sandwich and shit sandwich, Popeye. Take your pick.
Right. No, was it giant douche or shit sandwich?
Yeah, right. And let's be real. What
are we gonna get, Joe? Now we have like over 20 people running for president on the other side.
And we fucking screwed the pooch big time with Ron Paul. I mean, He had an opportunity of a lifetime, and he was winning, and they fucking kicked him in the stones.
You can thank the fucking GOP for that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Bernie got Ron Paul treatment last time, right? He was clearly the favorite.
Ron Paul sold out for his son's legacy as
right.
a senator, which is also very upsetting and sad because, I like Ron Paul, but the guy was old already. He still does stuff, I guess on the side or whatever. But I respect the man. I give him credit. He stood by his values when he was in Washington, and he didn't get corrupted. And he was like, nope, I'm not voting for it. I don't care. I'm going to vote no. I mean, he got the nickname Dr. No.
I know.
So, and he inspired a whole, that Ron Paul revolution, and then they screwed him the first time for it. The second time he did it just to kind of get his son. But the first time, I believe he was actually at least trying, somewhat at least, right? And he had remember the Ron Paul revolution? Remember they had all these, Amy Allen came out and she would, there was a Ron Paul song. You probably still find it on YouTube unless, probably not actually, because everything's copyrighted and YouTube just takes it.
Right.
Every hole. The only thing you'll find is like cat videos. That's fine. But ridiculous. Uh-oh, feedback.
Where's that coming from?
Ghost Popeye.
Where's it coming from?
Popeye. He's either here or he isn't.
And remember, I always bring this up. Remember how there was we had Occupy Wall Street, and then we had the Ron Paul Tea Party. And if people remember that, it was Ron Paul that started the Tea Party, and the Tea Party was, it was co-opted by the neocons and the establishment Republicans that wanted to run as quote unquote Tea Party candidates. Because look, Paul Ryan, he's one of these people that supposedly was a Tea Party candidate and all that stuff. It was all infiltrated and co-opted. And it was the same with the Occupy Wall Street shit. They were co-opted by the left-wing, radical left-wing side of all that. Because remember, at one point during the Occupy Wall Street stuff, you had Ron Paul supporters down there educating and having civil conversation back and forth with the Occupy Wall Street people, teaching them about the Federal Reserve, teaching them about the banking system, and talking about, libertarian ideas and stuff. And people were starting to come together, and you were starting to see them come together. And you couldn't have that. All of a sudden, that's when all that infiltration happened, and then both those sides got fragmented. One got pushed one way, one got pushed the other way, and it all disappeared and it all went away.
It's no different. It happens everywhere, right? So look at what happened over in Spain a couple years back. Now, Catalonia has wanted independence from Spain for 400 years. They've been pushing and pushing and
demonstrations.
Pushing, right? So what did they do? They start huge following, everything else. Spanish monarchy goes and jails the head of the movement. Right? Instead of listening to what the hell the problem is and what the people's grudge is, no, we can't have that. We're just going to snuff them out. And that's bullshit. That's the epitome of bullshit. And it's like Kennedy says, you make peaceful revolution impossible. You make violent revolution inevitable. And it's not impossible or out of the realm of possibility that you see it now, although it's remote, just because of the sheer apathy that's out there and the fact that everybody's just so numbed out by all the bullshit that they've got. Yes, cognitive infiltration.
That's how they do it.
Yes, it is. With a side order of fries and a Big Mac.
That's how they do it, Joe. That's how they take down.
Sounds pretty good right now, doesn't it, Scotty?
Ugh, God. Fries and a Big Mac. Really, Joe?
Oh, no. They've started messing with Big Macs over here, man. They've put bacon on them.
Oh, I forgot. He's on the keto diet. Yeah, he can't do that.
I expect Joe to not eat that because the listeners, they might remember this, but Joe had a conversation with me on air years ago about...
Oh, you remember that?
Burger King. Yes, where Joe and I were off air, and we were having a conversation, and he was driving home from work. And he decided, I think you were driving home from work, and you decided you were going to get I think it was a Big Mac, if I remember correctly.
No, it was McDonald's. It was a double QP with cheese.
Okay, so it was McDonald's. So he's driving and he's eating this shit burger, basically. So like he was eating the fast food version of Hillary Clinton. And as he's driving down the highway,
I'll never eat it again.
Joe suddenly is like, oh. And I'm like, dude, are you okay? And he's like, I don't think so. And with that, I hear the window go, and I then get crumpled up, and I hear, I'm like, did you just hurl your fucking hamburger out the window? And he's like, yeah, dude, I'm gonna throw up if that thing is in the cab with me.
Yeah,
I know
it's
I'm not
awful.
supposed to litter, but I can't fucking handle that thing in the cab. Like, he took 3 bites out of it, and by bite number 3, his stomach was like, warning. You cannot put this fucked up substance inside of me.
Good. I was just like, oh yeah, bite 2, bite number 3.
I'm like, how's your fucking McDonald's? He's like, oh, it's great. He gets into bite 3 and he's like, I'm gonna die.
So true.
I was like, you shouldn't fucking eat that stuff, dude.
You're right. I've evolved. I've gone to Burger King now, so it's all
Who
good.
knows? Yeah, but who knows? Look, I can say that one time I've eaten BurgerKing in the past because I stopped eating that shit when I was like 12 years old. But
Hey, in the past,
Burger King once when I was in Amsterdam, probably 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and the food was actually like it actually looked. I was like, whoa, this is a real hamburger. Is this Burger King?
Yeah, well, they make it actually decent in Europe. Like, so European McDonald's and European Burger King serves actually better.
Burger King, yeah. McDonald's, They started putting bacon on their Big Macs. It's not a Big Mac if it's got bacon on it.
Wait, you don't like bacon on shit?
I love bacon cheeseburgers, dude, but don't go messing with my Big Mac. Big Mac's a Big Mac. There's no bacon meant on it.
Same way you do the sheep over there.
Popeye,
leave the sheep out of
it. Understand this, okay? So Scotland is known, of course, for its quality cuisine, like
deep fried Mars bars,
haggis shit. So I mean, when you think about haggis and blood pudding, Big Mac, not so bad.
Dude, this is the home of
the little running track and shit like that. It's okay.
It's the home of the deep fried Mars bar. That's what we eat over here. Deep fried Mars bars.
I forget. I was at a carnival the other, maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Popeye, people wonder why I've had a heart attack.
Well, I'm looking right at you. Like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Oh, Jesus, no wonder.
I was at a carnival and they had deep fried butter.
Jesus, dude.
What the hell do you deep fry butter?
Did you eat it, Joe?
No. I'm thinking the logistics of it. How the hell do you deep fry butter?
I have to admit, look, deep fried ice cream is probably a heart attack inducer, and once in a blue moon I'll do it. But no, deep fried butter. What's the point? Why don't you just eat a stick of margarine?
There you go. Right, just in case you think I'm joking, Popeye. 1995, Scotland gave birth to the deep fries Mars bars. And it's been a thing ever since. You can deep fry anything. You take it into the chip shop, ask them to deep fry it, and they will, dude.
How do you do that?
Oh my god!
What do you mean? How do you do it?
I'm looking at this right now as we're talking. I'm looking.
You just dip it in like the batter mix, and then you drop it into the deep fat fryer, and it's voila.
Why don't you just take the grease and get
drink
an IV and hook it right through your sternum? Into your chest, right into the top of the heart.
That's how my arteries probably look.
That shit'll get clogged up in about 3 seconds.
Yeah, people wonder why Scotland is like the heart attack capital of Europe, but now we're seeing why.
Yeah, dude, you're not kidding.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good, man.
No.
They like to deep fry everything up in
tasty,
upper Midwest.
I have to admit that
Minnesota and stuff.
Kind of looks tasty, but I don't know.
No, it looks like a deep fried log of shit.
You hear your arteries hardening as you're eating it. You're like, ugh.
No good for you,
I
man.
wonder if you could actually do that. I wonder if you could actually like have some clown one day, right? Go in and substitute the Mars bars with a fucking turd and see if anybody would notice.
Trying to be like Bill Murray in Caddyshack.
Yeah, right.
Somebody's saying intravenous grease.
It's like, bro, it's a Mars bar.
Or I'm sure somebody will try to use it as a colonic and shove it up their ass or something, because that's what they end up doing. There's always somebody that shoves something up their ass.
Listen, I've seen people on YouTube pushing coffee enemas to cure cancer. To cure cancer, coffee enemas. Yeah, that'll work.
It only goes in one direction.
Yeah. Yeah, coffee enemas.
Projectile.
Intake.
Feeling kind of, hey, Jim, feeling kind of low today at work. Think I'm just going to go pour some coffee up my ass. I'll be right back.
I'll tell you what, though. You want to bet that the caffeine will get into your bloodstream super quick.
Yeah, probably so. But that's kind of a shit way of doing it.
It's a really weird way to go about it.
Joe's here all week, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. I just flew in from Miami, and boy, are my arms killing me.
But tip your waitress.
So come on, boys. What else we got? There we go. There's Scotty.
I was gonna say, remember that show, 1001 Ways to Die?
Yes.
What show did you
remember? I remember that there was a dude on there who died from pouring alcohol up his butt.
Because he probably got alcohol poisoning.
Yep, exactly. It's what we were just talking about with the coffee, I just heard that the word for that, Scotty, in the drug community is called plugging. Just so you know. That's what he did. He did that, and
I guess himself with truth on a daily basis. Oh my God, that is just wrong. So how much alcohol did the guy intake, however you want to put it?
Yeah, well, he got throat surgery, so he couldn't drink, and he was an alcoholic, and so
wow,
and so he had his wife do it for him.
That's hardcore.
And she poured like half a bottle of some kind of hard liquor.
Ooh.
And
just imagine the burn. Oh,
was that the only time they did this, or was this just the last time that they did it?
It was the first and the last time they did it. Yes.
Oh, the gerbil, yes. No, we'll not get into any felching conversations. Bad gerbil. Bad gerbil.
Kev had to get up and go get his vajankle, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. He'll be right back. We can't have any conversations like this without Kevin.
Yeah, no Richard Gereism here. No.
Well, you know who's Gwyneth Paltrow's into weird shit like that. She, tells people that
fuzzy woodland creature shoving them up her ass or cooch.
No, steaming, like steam cleaning her vag, and she openly talks about it. And she's like, you should steam clean your. First of all, if you need to steam clean it, there's a problem because, that's like pressure washing things. Usually, the only thing you pressure wash is your house or your driveway, or something that's filthy. So. Like when you steam your floor, you use one of those floor steamers. It's to get the dirt out. Is Gwyneth trying to imply something?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think what she's saying is probably a little bit of high mileage there. Got to do a little cleanup. What better way to clean it than to steam it?
No, I just think it's very not healthy.
Don't they steam clams anyway? Isn't that what they do at restaurants? Isn't it steam clam?
Well, somebody put in the super chat.
Hey, isn't her website called Goop? Maybe now we know why.
Joe, somebody super chatted, and it's just a guy, our good friend.
I already answered him.
That's okay. Did I miss it, dude? So what about your pet gerbil? What's up with it, dude?
It's not my pet gerbil. And no, we don't do that. But, it reminds me of an old story. This is a Darwin Award from years ago. About two gay guys. One of them, of course, takes the hamster in the tube, and up he goes. Well, hamster gets stuck, right?
Coffee enema to get it out.
So the friend's like, hey, hold on. Let me see what's going on up there. And he lights a match. Well, what happens when, you fart and whatever? So it shoots out the fucking hamster at like Mach 9 and fucking breaks the guy's nose. Boom! Oh! Imagine, and imagine, the burns and all that. The guy got like 2nd-degree burns on his asshole. So you walk into the emergency room, the two of you, one's got a broken nose, one's got a charred asshole. How do you explain that? How do you explain that in the ER? I mean, Tux medicated pads don't solve charred bacon ring. Just saying.
Even
No.
It looks like Popeye was almost lost for words there, dude. And that doesn't happen often, man.
What the fuck?
All I gotta say is that it must have been a fun night in the ER that night.
Good grief. Yeah, talk about that, man. They'd be talking about that for a decade.
My God, dude, that's...
Right, somebody's asking, have you seen...
You were going to say the gerbil got stuck or something.
Somebody's asking, have you seen how many female celebrities have claimed to be men? There's a few I could make a case for possibly being men. I've not heard any of them claiming it, though.
I think everyone's just confused. I think the world is the powers that shouldn't be, or the architect, whatever, right?
The architect, dude. It's part of the error correction, right?
Yes, it's adjusting, it's correcting the error, and everybody's confused, dude. That's why they've destroyed and gotten rid of like all of the basics and all of the basic lines. It's like if you're driving a car and as you're driving down the road, right, you're looking straight ahead and you're driving. And as you're driving, all of a sudden the trees and the buildings start to disappear and the sky disappears and then the curb disappears and then the lines on the street disappear. And suddenly it's just everything is blank. And there's no way to tell if you are going to hit anything, if there's something coming up, you really can't tell distance. It's such a blank, empty thing that you're lost. You instantly have no sense of anything. And it's an assault on your brain and on your senses in general. So what do? You go into fight or flight. You're in the fear frequency now. Where do you go from there? Well, most people have been conditioned that when you're afraid, who do you look to? The authority figure. There's your true answer.
Yep.
All the other joking aside, there's the answer. You get rid of everything, right? You wipe the slate clean. You make everything blank, and people don't know anything. They don't have a reference point for anything, so they're scared and they're afraid and they're confused, and they look to the authority figure like they've been trained to, and the authority figure is standing there on their white horse in their shining armor, and they say, "Hey, don't worry, we'll keep you safe. And we just happen to have a solution to your problem. Isn't that convenient? Come on, hop on the back of the horse and we'll ride off into the sunset together." And it's actually tyranny. It doesn't matter if you want to call it communism, which is really bullshit. Communism is illuminism. You have to go read. You can't. Me saying that is not gonna. Don't believe me. I want you to be like, Popeye's crazy shit, man. What's he talking about? Go read. Go read. None dare call it conspiracy as a good start, and there's lots of references in there. And go read Jim Mars's book, The Illuminati. Those are two good reads. The first one's a little shorter. It's about this big. Jim Mars's book's about this big. It'll take a little bit more time. Educate yourself. Communism is really illuminism. Okay, so it doesn't matter if it's communism / illuminism / socialism, whatever ism you want to call that, or if it's democracy, or if it's a republic, or a constitutional republic. It doesn't matter if it's fascism. It doesn't matter what form of government, a dictatorship, a king. Doesn't matter. It's all tyranny. It's all about control. And again, that goes to a much deeper esoteric thing. But they want to control everybody. These people are control freaks on so many levels. You can't even sneeze in the wrong direction nowadays. Everything has to be, Joe, you can't collect rainwater. How many times rainwater? Like, it rains. It comes down out of the sky, lands in a big puddle in your yard. And the EPA or whoever, that one guy, he built a huge rain collection pond on his property, and the EPA was fining him and going after him. You can't do that.
Oh, I know.
That's illegal.
Great third book. Great third book to read. 90 pages. War's a Racket. Smedley Butler.
Oh, that's a yes. Smedley Butler. Yeah. Conspiracies are bullshit. They don't happen, really.
Yeah. Read that book and then apply it to everything. War on drugs, war is a racket. Anytime you hear war, instantly you should be like, this is bullshit. Because it is. It is.
All wars are bankers' wars.
Every single one.
I'm on the encyclopedia according to Ike right now. You know, the one that got him banned from Australia because of his dangerous ideas. Definitely a good book. There you go, man.
Yeah, you want to find yourself in the crosshairs real fast? Just try to live off grid. Just try to live off grid. Try that. See what happens.
You know, just to go back to Ike for a second, Joe, I would advise anyone out there, though, if you're going to buy Ike's books, just buy the latest one, because he usually condenses everything that's been in his previous books into them. And it saves you from reading the same thing regurgitated. And I still can't get over the fact they banned him from Australia, man. I mean,
except there's one book I would say to buy, which would be The Biggest Secret.
Yeah, that's good.
Only because that book is like mind melting. But I agree. You don't like this. Some of the stuff in the middle you don't have to buy if you don't already have him. I like him because he's been made fun of over the years, and he still perseveres. And yes, I've had criticism of him in the past about some of the endeavors he's gotten into, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But that aside, I agree with his message, and I agree with some everything he talks about. And I don't believe what he says, right? I take the information and I go and research it. What I like about his books is he puts reference material in there for you to go do the research yourself. That's why I tell people, don't believe me. When I used to do my radio show, what I used to say, Kev, all the time, don't believe me.
Yep.
Do the research yourself.
Yep.
Because if you don't do the research yourself, it's like, again, going back to the Matrix. What does Morpheus say to Neo? Unfortunately, people can't be told what the Matrix is. They have to see it. That's why he gives them the ultimatum, and he says, this is your last chance. And he holds up his hands, and he says, you can take the blue pill, and you wake up in your bed and you believe whatever you want to believe. But if you take the red pill, we stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. And that's the choice.
But do you think, Popeye, like we were talking about earlier, the character that decides to go back into the Matrix because the steak just tastes so good, is that what a lot of people have been doing? They've taken a look outside the Matrix, and they've thought, do you know what?
Exactly.
To hell with this, man. I want my steak.
Yeah, they're Cypher.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that. Yep. I was thinking about that the other day too. Thinking about the Matrix stuff. I was like, man, so many people just pulled a Cypher, man, where they just said, you know what? I know that this steak isn't real, and that I know when I eat it, it's just,
it's just signals going to my brain, but it's cool.
Yeah, he said.
Yeah, tastes so good. And then what do you say? Make me famous.
Yep.
There's a lot to that movie.
For anything, so make me famous. He said maybe an actor or something.
Well, somebody in the chat room says, well, if you take no pill, you just carry on like some NPC, I would imagine, oblivious to everything.
Well, right. That would be like the blue pill.
Yeah.
You wake up in your bed and you believe whatever you want to believe.
Yeah. Blue pill's the placebo. It doesn't get you anywhere.
No. And then when I first started using, because anyone that's ever listened to my radio show knows that was a huge part of my intro, that whole speech by Morpheus. And I started using the Matrix as a reference and that scene with the blue pill and the red pill very, very long time ago. And when I used it, there was no other weird bullshit attached to it. But I've noticed that in my time off, that now the term red pilled has become a thing, and it's
mainstream. It's a mainstream term now.
And it's because it was a powerful allegory, and now that's how the way they distract and deflect is to make fun of and mimic and make memes of, so to speak, and then get people to use the incorrect terminology, word magic, or to pass around this meme, which is really bullshit. It's all social engineering. That's what all of this is. It's social engineering. Now, the question is it people doing it? Is it interdimensional beings? Is it a cross of the two and then us as these creators of the Matrix itself? Remember, we're the transmitters. Again, like going back to the Matrix, it's the whole point of them being in that tube with all the things stuck to them. They were batteries. Well, we're more than that. We're also the generators of this reality.
That's what got me into quantum mechanics, Popeye, the fact that we have got such a big role to play as the observer.
Well, quantum mechanics shows you that we create reality. Because you observe where that particle is, where that dot is, and that's where it appears, right? So that means that when people tell you, like when I was a kid, right, your parents would tell you, if you believe in yourself and you believe in it enough, you can make that happen for yourself. Well, that's kind of the truth, actually. In fact, that's more than kind of the truth. That is the truth. It doesn't mean I'm going to go, I want $1 million. I'm staring at my hand and look, it's not popping in. Popeye, you just disproved your theory on video. No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is everything that we see around us, the system, everything, we're biological computers. Not really so much our body. That's more physiological. I mean, biological, yes, chemically driven, but our brains are, and mechanical, is what I meant to say. Our bodies are more mechanical. I mean, everything's, flesh, meat.
Biological spacesuit, man.
Yes, but we're mechanical beings. This up here, this is the most powerful computer on the planet Earth. I don't give a shit about their quantum computing until they can. I mean, maybe down the future, yeah. But this is the most powerful, computer on Earth, and it's a biological one. And they need to hijack it. They are hacking us. That's what they do. They hack us, and they download just tons of bullshit, and they keep us in this downloadable state by using fear. And they use it through TV, they use it through the news, they use it through the radio, they use it through the internet. And now, because they're so pissed off about the effect that the alternative viewpoint or the internet or anything had, they're going to clamp down on it. It was never intended for us to have any power with it to begin with. And they're mad. So their reaction is to take away everything. I mean, everyone's getting censored now. The censorship is ridiculous. I see people getting censored for shit left and right, and it's like, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, people are getting censored for, I remember it was bad, but the stuff that we talked about when I said, look, people like, Ken Webb getting censored, me getting censored, Enough Respect, and all the other hundreds of awesome YouTubers over the years that got screwed with back in the day. We were beta tests for something much bigger. We were beta tests. They were filtering out a lot of stuff. I mean, there was the purge of 2008 when they effed Ron Paul, and then they purged all the Ron Paul videos, and they got rid of channels. That was like the mass YouTube purge. But it's all beta testing for what you see now, which is very streamlined. When we were dealing with it, it was still choppy. You could fight things, and I mean, they do let you fight for stuff. But like half my YouTube videos are muted, and now I'm getting copyright strikes on my channel or on the videos, or not, I shouldn't say strikes, copyright claims, and it's something that's not even anything remotely close, but I fight it, and I appeal it, and they say, oh, the person says that it's theirs, so it's theirs. And then they're making money, ad revenue, on my videos, and I don't monetize my videos. So for people that are like, what are you, jealous? No, I've never monetized my stuff. I've always given it away for free. So I have a real big fucking problem when somebody else is making money off of my work that's supposed to be out there for free. No one should be advertising and putting ads on my fucking videos. They're out there for free. I don't want people to make money off of it. It's because knowledge is power.
It's like somebody said in the chat there, guys. You type into like YouTube for UFOs and things like that now. You get mainstream news articles about that. Yeah, you go looking for the moon hoax, whether you believe in the moon landing or not. It's going to give you like all of the mainstream documentaries. It's not going to give you people like us talking about it anymore. And if you do get onto somebody like us talking about it, you get the info box. Just so you know, this is where you can find your truth at Wikipedia, who at one point they used to say Wikipedia was unreliable, but now they're like the be-all and end-all of truth.
Yeah, it's right. Well, I mean, look at Snopes. Snopes used to be considered, some people still say like Snopes is like the bastion of truth. No, they're not. Yeah. No, they're not. It was like a guy and his wife who are now divorced and they like hate each other that founded it and ran it. And it was funded with money from Soros organizations. That's not a conspiracy theory. It's truth. Just do some research. Everyone needs to stop. It's a conspiracy theory. First of all, let's touch on that. Misuse of the word conspiracy. if the bunch of us got together and conspired to do something bad, when we got caught, we'd be charged with conspiracy. I mean, Jesse Smollett, what did he get charged with? Conspiracy to commit fraud,
don't trigger Joe. Don't trigger Joe.
That's a trick.
You've triggered him, man.
Right. Well, I'm just saying it's a real thing. So the word conspiracy is totally misused, and the pejorative label comes about from the CIA after the Kennedy assassination. The real quick story is this: they couldn't have any veering off of the bullshit single gunman magic bullet theory, because if they did, if even Santa Claus helped Oswald, then people would start to look and say, well, who else might have helped Oswald? And what happens is you're going to there were so many people involved that you're going to trip over the truth eventually, right? So instead, it always had to be the lone gunman, and that was it. So if you said it was Oswald and the Mafia, Oswald and the Russians, Oswald and Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, didn't matter. You were a conspiracy theorist. And those charges were leveled at people like Mark Lane and May Brussel, people who don't know who May, and Penn Jones Jr., people who don't know who May Brussel is. This lady is amazing. She's one of the original, her, Penn Jones, Mark Lane, those men and lady and others were the original alternative media, so to speak. They were the only voice out there. She used to record audio cassettes in her living room on a tape recorder.
Well,
because when she first started doing her radio show, she had death threats.
Well, there's a point, right? Audio cassettes. Somebody in the chat room, great point, and it's Countess C says, okay, so what's the solution to the censorship? It's a good question, you know? How do we get around this?
What I used to do, I foresaw this coming. Okay, so I foresaw this coming years ago. A lot of listeners probably, you know, again, because I've only come on Kev's show now with you guys a couple times, right? A lot of the newer people might not know. I did radio for a very long time, talking about all this stuff, and I've run Federal Jack. I've been doing this stuff since late 2005, early 2006. So I've been in the game a very long time, and I saw this whole thing coming down the road years ago, and I started backing up YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And when I mean backing up YouTube, I mean backing up truth videos, things that were important. And that's why I ended up making so many YouTube channels. I'm on 6 channels now. That's 5. 6 channels that I've had. That's my public school education. I'm on 6 channels that I've had taken down by YouTube.
Core.
Yeah, fucking Common Core high school education.
No, it's just that he's got 6 toes.